So I think two aspects to business diplomacy are really important. The first one is this, that we've been talking about analysing geopolitical risk, analysing our vulnerabilities, understanding to what extent our business is vulnerable. And secondly, developing strategies for mitigating those risks to enable us to be able to respond to different events in our economic or our political environment. And in the latter, I think why we talk about business diplomacy for doing this is understanding to what extent that the way that diplomats think about the world can be applied to business. It is not simply talking about how we do business internationally, how we look at risk internationally. It's what is it about the way that diplomats approach the world that is transferable into the business world. And that's going to be a key part of the workshop when we do them. Trying to explore how diplomats think, how diplomats function, and to what extent businesses can adopt that or take advantage of it. An example that we were talking about briefly before the workshop is the extent to which diplomats work on building coalitions. Diplomats work on interests. Unfortunately, we now have lots of diplomats who talk about values all the time, particularly in the West, in Europe, in the US. But the traditional diplomats talked about interests, promoting your own interests, but also understanding the interests of the others. Because if you understand the interests of the others, you've got a basis for identifying where those interests coincide, and you can start building partnerships. You can start building coalitions. So one of the lessons that I think we would want to get across from business diplomacy is that business is not necessarily about zero-sum competition. It is also about identifying where you can build coalition.